Okay, so last night, Jen and I went with my family to watch Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. This video is going to be just my first thoughts. Maybe not my first thoughts because, I've had at least a night to ponder over what I just watched. But I'm going to leave the full review for when Jen's actually sitting with me on the couch. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Dakota. How's it going, guys and geeks? Welcome back to the Geek Critique Show. This is just going to be me spitting out like theories and thoughts that I came up with while watching and have thought about since my viewing last night. This will be spoiler heavy. So I apologize for everyone who hasn't seen the film already, but our full review will have a non-spoiler and a spoiler section to it. So please subscribe if you haven't already and you want to watch that. But otherwise, let's begin. First of all, I thought the actual film going experience was very respectful. I know a lot of people were burnt by The Last Jedi. I wasn't when I first watched it, but I've come to disagree with a lot of the choices made in that film. So, in some ways, I felt redeemed by what was happening in The Rise of Skywalker. It wasn't outright retconning, because there were certain things from The Last Jedi that can be explained in more than one way. For instance, Rey being a nobody. I never actually truly believed that, and I don't think Jen did either. I don't know if it was the novelization of The Last Jedi or just my own personal headcanon, but for some reason, I remember that Snoke was the one who basically brought Rey and Kylo together through the Force, and he was the one who put that vision in Rey's head that Kylo was going to turn to the dark, to the light, and kill Snoke, and it ended up coming true. And likewise, that was when Ren realized that Rey was a nobody. So it was something that Snoke implanted in both of their heads, either to throw them off or what. I don't really know. But that's how I always wrote that scene off. I never believed her to be a nobody. I didn't believe her to be a Palpatine, which, shocking revelations there, but I kind of liked it. I liked that reveal a lot. I liked that, just the one line where Luke grabs the lightsaber and he goes, something along the lines of don't disrespect the weapon of a Jedi, or something along those lines, and it's a direct almost shot at Rian Johnson's film where Luke threw his father's lightsaber away. So that was fun. I had a few theories going into the film. One was that C-3PO was going to get his memories back. That was partially correct, but not in the way that I expected. I wonder if he's gotten his full memory back now that R2's, implanted his memory into C-3PO's. That would be interesting. But that scene didn't play out like I thought it was going to in my trailer breakdown recently. I just made a video about how Ahsoka's in The Rise of Skywalker, and she technically is, but not as an on-screen visual ever. And I was a little disappointed to know that for whatever reason Ahsoka went back to becoming a Jedi and died. I mean, at least she died on the side of the light, so that she's able to have that moment of speaking with Rey. I love that scene where she, at the end, the scene where she has that moment of "be with me," and she has those all those voices in her head. I kind of wanted the Jedis to just show up, be there with her at that moment. But I loved hearing the voices of Samuel L. Jackson, Liam Neeson, Ashley Eckstein, Mark Hamill, everyone really. Frank Oz was there. I wish at the end when they showed the Lars Homestead and the Force Ghost there, I wish Ben had been amongst Luke and Leia, because he did die on the light side of the Force, so he would be able to come and be present with her then. Because when you think of Return of the Jedi at the end, and you see Anakin and Yoda and Ben, those are the three Force users that he knew in his lifetime. But when you're talking about the Skywalker lineage, Ben was a Skywalker. I mean, through blood, he was a Solo, but he was a Skywalker. He should have been there at the end, so that was kind of a disappointment to me. The plot was everywhere. I don't want to get too much into like an actual review. I do wish it had taken a little more time in the exposition. It could have used another 20 to 30 minutes of just, breathing room, an explanation as to like what they were jumping around from planet to planet doing. But overall, I can't understand why some people are disliking it. It has worse reviews than Attack of the Clones, which, just from a literal, I guess it has to be subjective, but from an artistic point of view, from a storytelling point of view, by an acting point of view, Attack of the Clones is by far the weakest of the series. So to see this have a worse Rotten Tomato score than Attack of the Clones is just bizarre to me. I will say that I think I'm happy that so far the film doesn't appear to be review bombed by people who dislike it. I mean, it does has very mixed reactions when it comes to critical praise, but the audience praise. Last I checked, it was somewhere around 8,000 reviews, and it was at 86 or 88%, something in the mid to high 80s, which is really, really awesome to see that people are really enjoying it. I liked the new Force powers on display. I know some of them have been released in canon in advance. Most notably, Baby Yoda being able to heal someone, and then Rey was able to use healing powers. Perfect. I love how that tied in, just briefly, just a little bit, but it didn't seem to come out of nowhere because you were prepared for it. Like, it's something new and something exciting, and Rey can suddenly do that. I like the fact that she's finally being trained, or she was being trained. I love that she called Leia her master. Some of the Leia scenes were, I mean, it's really nice. It was a nice send-off for her, but I felt they were writing the script around her, which was weird. Sorry, this is all over the place, but this is what this is. This is just first reactions. It's got reactions. I'm just thinking. I'm so happy Chewie's alive. I would have been so angry. Rey was already towing a line of like almost personal hatred towards her, just because she does not have many problems or have any need for help, I guess. I don't know. She is a Mary Sue, at least from the first two films. I have to really think about this movie again and watch it again to make up my mind about that. But I thought that they handled her character pretty well. She did make mistakes. She did, like, when she destroyed that ship. There is some blowback. I wish it was more evident in her Force usage that this strains her. I was a little confused by her fighting that training droid. Was that just like on extra hard mode, or was Ren controlling that and testing her? I have to watch that again. It's so clear to me that so much of the film was abridged. Like, there were whole characters and plots that I know they filmed and I know they worked with that they just didn't use. Like, I remember in the red carpet premiere, they were saying the cast were saying that Claude was a better character than Babu Frick, but Claude had maybe one line, and I don't even remember what that was, and he was just kind of a background character. He had to have more films. He had to have had more lines than what he did. Man, Babu Frick, I loved Babu Frick. Babu Frick. I love that. Oh, man. Overall, I had such a fun time. It does feel like I watched a movie and a half compressed into a 2.5 hour film. But I guess that's necessary when the middle part of the trilogy felt like 1.5 instead of 2. So it feels like, yes, there was retconning to an extent. They didn't undo Luke's death, which I'm fine with. I would have also been fine if they did, and they explained that away somehow so that Luke would have had a really awesome moment. But they found a way to use Luke and have awesome moments with him anyway. What else? I think those are my initial thoughts. I have so much more. Oh man, Palpatine was so powerful. I loved it. I love that, like, he had like backup plans. So he's just like, I've been thinking about this forever. He didn't actually say that, but that is what was happening. One thing I want to ask is, the crowd that was watching Rey and Palpatine, was that just a bunch of Palpatine clones, or just, like, minions of his? I love the idea of it just being thousands of Palpatine clones just watching and chanting and just like, wait, I was going to sit there. Okay, do it. I just don't understand how so many people seem to dislike it, though. Oh, talking about scenes that seemed like they were cut, Matt Smith was supposed to be in this movie, and we actually saw a picture of him, like, in alien costume maybe a month or two ago, and I thought that would have been a cool character. But, in typical Star Wars fashion, even characters you think are going to be big characters aren't usually. Captain Phasma, Boba Fett. So anyway, I'm sorry about the rambles. I just had to get some of this off my chest. I want to hear what you guys' thoughts are. Maybe not a full review. I wait for our full review before you give us your full review, I guess. But I would like to hear your thoughts on, like, your first reactions, because, wow, there's a lot in this movie. There's a lot to unpack. And another thing, I really loved that they, maybe not the de-aging scene of Luke and Leia, because that always looks really weird to me. My threshold for the uncanny valley is very, very low. So that always looks really fake to me. But I do love that scene because it shows that Leia was trained. It shows, it kind of just fleshes out that part of her life. Doesn't explain why that was her last lesson and why she decided to... Oh, it did explain that, but it didn't explain it a whole lot. I feel like there's so much more in this movie than what meets the eye, because... I don't know. I don't want to keep going forever, because that's what our full review will be about. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you guys. Have a good one.